Okay, getting ready to blueprint this oil pump. Before I'm gonna blueprint it, I've got to enlarge this oil feed hole. If you look at this drill bit I've got in there, that's where it stops. So this passage necks down. So I'm gonna open it up so it doesn't neck down, but you don't want to be too greedy because you'll bust through in here. But since this is a GM cover, that's usually not a problem. It's usually the aftermarket Chinese covers that are problematic. The TA cover is already enlarged out of the box and usually doesn't require any other work. Simple as that. We've already busted through. There's my drill bit. Okay, so we're all modded up. Oil passages are as good as they're going to get. They've been massaged. Everything's cleaned up. Now it's time to fit the pump gears in the pocket. The camera makes this cover look worse than it is. The side clearance is still at 3 thousandths. I already measured it. See, I put a little oil hole there in the idler. People are like, why do you do that? It's not needed, blah, blah, blah. You're right. It probably doesn't need it, but it certainly doesn't hurt. So I'm going to do it. Looks like I got a burr on that, and that's why it's not going down. So it's time to start setting up this pump. Okay, gears are in. Time to start setting up the end play. Here's the thrust plate. Again, debate. Oh, I don't want a thrust plate. It's going to have another leak, another chance for leak path. That's crap. If this is flat and this is flat, this side's flat, and the housing's flat, and you know what you're doing, and the bolts are torqued evenly and they're not stripped out, it's not going to leak, guys. This particular plate here is made by Bison. It's 4140 steel. It's perfectly flat, unlike the Melling plate. Kind of look at it like a girdle for your oil pump. So the next step, once you have the gears in and the plate on, is make sure the plate doesn't rock on the gears, which this one doesn't. Then you take your feeler gauges and you find the smallest feeler gauge that will go between the thrust plate and the housing. In this case, it's 3 thousandths. So if I put a 3 thousandths gasket in there, in theory, I would have 0 clearance and the pump would lock up. So if I want 1.5 thousandths of clearance to 2 at the max, in theory, a 5 thousandth gear would be, or excuse me, a 5 thousandths gasket would be what I need. So now I'm going to go to my gasket selection and I'm going to find one as close to 5 thousandths as I can get. It could bury a half a thou here or there, but this is going to get it way closer than just slapping a gasket on and letting it go. Another thing that I didn't mention is those gears. I don't have a bead blaster here, so I just take them and I put them in a wire wheel and I take the rough edges off of them and get them all deburred as well. That makes a big difference.